The book describes 6 different supply chain strategies that companies often use. They are: first, negotiating with many suppliers; 2, long-term partnering with few suppliers; 3, vertical integration; 4, joint ventures; 5, Kurutsu networks; and 6, virtual companies. Let's look at each. The strategy of using many suppliers is often used for commodity-like products, and purchasing is often based on lowest price. In this environment, suppliers compete with one another. On the other end of the spectrum is the strategy of using just a few suppliers. Here, the buyer forms a long-term relationship with the supplier. Building this type of relationship allows suppliers to become more invested and willing to participate in just-in-time programs, for example. The downside to this strategy is that the cost of changing suppliers can be quite high. Vertical integration is developing the ability to produce goods or services previously purchased. Integration can be backward, toward the suppliers, or forward, towards the customer. One way to achieve vertical integration is by purchasing the companies that were your suppliers and folding them into the organization. Vertical integration can be quite risky in industries where there's rapid technological change. Here is a nice picture showing several examples of both forward and backward integration in different industries. The fourth strategy is joint ventures. The idea here is to have cooperation without diluting your brand name or conceding competitive advantage. The fifth strategy is found mostly in Japan and is called Kurutsu networks. It is a middle ground between using a few suppliers and vertical integration. You can read more about this strategy in the book. Virtual companies are also known as hollow corporations or network companies. They attempt to provide services on demand and have a very fluid organizational boundaries. If your organization is able to effectively implement one of these 6 strategies, they have moved towards the lofty goal of a more integrated supply chain. However, there can be issues with integrated supply chains. For example, local optimization is often prevalent. This means that instead of optimizing, that's finding the best, over the entire supply chain, an organization will often optimize pieces of it, like logistics. Discovering locally optimized pieces of the supply chain is actually quite understandable. The supply chain is huge, and trying to account for all of the decisions and unknowns throughout the entire supply chain is very daunting. So, people often break it into smaller, more manageable chunks. We will also encounter incentives that could make the supply chain less than optimal. We see these on both the sales side. Our sales reps are offering incentives that do not match well with our supply network, and the procurement side. We order in larger batches to take advantage of quantity discounts or promotions. The purchase of large lot sizes, we often see what is called the bullwhip effect. The bullwhip effect occurs when slight demand variability is magnified as information moves back upstream along the supply chain. Purchasing in large lots can exacerbate this occurrence. The best way to avoid the bullwhip effect is to break down those brick walls and share information along the supply chain. There are also opportunities in an integrated supply chain. Here are a few that the book discusses. Let's look at 2. Vendor managed inventory is just as it sounds. The vendor of the product manages the inventory. A good example here is Frito-Lay and its potato chips in grocery stores. They have their own people, not the stocker at Hannaford, put the chips on the shelf. Vendor managed inventory can be a win-win for both parties. Hannaford does not have to worry about how much to order and when to order it, and Frito-Lay can ensure that the product is presented according to their standards. For the second example, let's look at postponement. Postponement is the delay of assembly of a product to as late in the process, or as close to the customer, as possible. HP does this with their printers. They will postpone assembling the power supply to the printer until it is at a distribution center in the country where the product will be sold. Why? Think about it and let me know.